Okay, so the updates that we have for you today, reminder, any potential employees that have lived out of state in the last 5 years must have background check results from those states. If this step is not completed, it will delay the process or result in a not approved approval. If you have questions, be sure to give us a call. I put our contact information in the chat box, as well as our mainline number. If you have any applicant reaching the 2-year expiration on the child maltreatment check, please be sure to submit those through the central registry. Applicants will remain in a provisional without a completed Arkansas child maltreatment. If you do not complete all the components of the background check within 45 days, your applicant will be moved to not approved. This does not apply to those awaiting out-of-state results. Who needs a background check? All staff will need a maltreatment check. The ones that are listed with the checkbox of all staff, janitors, and therapists will need a criminal check. All staff, janitors, and therapists will need an FBI check as well. Everyone that is unsupervised, counts in ratio, or has staff roles with children's needs a background check, even transportation staff. Please refer to your licensing requirements. FBI and criminal are good for 5 years. The maltreatment is good for 2 years. So make sure if you're up on that date of your maltreatment, and if it's going to expire, make sure to submit another request for those.
I have a quick question.
Let's talk about disqualifying offenses. No person shall be eligible to be a child care facility owner, operator, or employee if they have pled guilty, nolo contendere, or been found guilty of the following unless the date of the conviction is at least 5 years from the date of the request for misdemeanor offenses and 10 years for felony offenses. You can find the full list in your licensing book under section 110. Now let's talk about some permanently prohibited offenses. No person shall be eligible to be a child care facility owner, operator, or employee if they have pled guilty or been found guilty in any of the offenses listed here. Make sure to check your licensing book, section 110 for all. Let's move on to talk about the electronic background check system, also known as NICAR. All licensed programs in Arkansas must use the online system. The background check includes the Arkansas State Criminal Background Check, the Federal Criminal Background Check, as well as the National Sex Offender Registry Check. Providers must register online for a subscription. The annual cost is $150. Remember, this does not include the Arkansas Child Maltreatment Registry request. Now we will go through the step-by-step process on submitting a background check. Step 1, once you have subscribed to the INA and you are ready to submit your first applicant, you will need to complete the consent form. This document can be found on the background check unit website, as well as linked here. Please be sure to select childcare and enter all the information correctly. The provider number is your facility license number, not your phone number. Once you submit this form, a copy will be emailed to the address you provided. The PDF will be 3 complete pages. The first page will be the part that has the information you submitted electronically. If the applicant has lived out of state within the last 5 years, now is the time to request regulatory checks from those states. Contact them directly for help. On the second page, it's related to the state check. The applicant must sign and date in front of a notary, and the notary must sign and stamp it. On the third page, the applicant must sign and date it. That's related to the federal check. Once you have this notarized accurately, please scan all 3 pages as one PDF to your computer. This is the form you will upload into INA given the background check unit consent to view the applicant's criminal history report. It is crucial to look over these consent forms and verify the information is correct and the notary information matches the applicant's signature. For example, if the notary signature date does not match your submission, it will be not approved. If the third page is missing, it will be moved to not approved. If the notary stamp is not legible, it will be moved to not approved. So please take your time and ensure this step is done properly. If you make a mistake and realize it after you have uploaded it, please contact our unit so we can help you correct this. You do not need to resubmit your applicant. If you do a resubmittal, you will be charged. Now that your consent form is completed, you are ready to submit your applicant. You will need to log into your INA account. Okay, let me. Once you are logged into your account, you will click on the search tab. This is where you will find out the applicant information. It is a good idea to have a copy of the applicant's driver's license while you complete this section. You will need to be sure the information you enter here matches what is on the driver's license of your potential employee. If this information does not match, they will be turned away from being fingerprinted. In turn, their background check will not be processed. You will upload your consent form here and you will select the purpose of CHI for childcare. Some providers may have multiple purposes. If you serve multiple different agencies, be sure that DHS, DCC, ECE is selected. As a provider, the purpose field will say CHI, childcare, non-DHS request. The next step is important. Review your work. Please take a few seconds to review the information you have submitted. You can go back to step 1 if you see something that you've made an error on. If you do not review this and you continue to submit an application that has errors, you will not be reimbursed when you must submit a duplicate entry. Once you verify that the information is correct, submit your information and you will receive a confirmation page with your search ID and transaction number. Please keep these numbers where they are easily accessible for the next step. Before you schedule the potential employee's fingerprints, please go into your pending tab and be sure they are not showing here. This means that the Arkansas State Police are still processing the state criminal results. Until they are complete and moved over to your history tab, they will not be able to be fingerprinted. This rarely happens, however, if they have lived out of state or have incorrect information in their system, it can take additional time for the Arkansas State Police to find their information. Once your applicant is in the history section, you're ready to schedule the fingerprinting appointment. Please visit the scheduling website here on the screen. From here, you will select your location, then the date and time. Please input the applicant's personal information, then you will enter your transaction number. This will be the CHI 00 followed by 7 digits. If you are resubmitting prints due to rejection notice, you would schedule the prints the same way. However, your E-number would be used, and that's going to be located in your view attached documents. It's going to be the uploaded rejection notification letter where you will find that E-number. The last step we will discuss is to submit the Arkansas Maltreatment Registry check. This request is processed by the Central Registry and can be completed by following the link here. You will need to complete this request, get it notarized, and upload it. When you are completing this section, please be sure to list 5 years of residency, and if the applicant has lived out of state in the last 5 years, you would select yes for that. Be sure to select the second option that says you are a potential or current employee of a child care facility or residential facility for children youth licensed by Arkansas Department of Human Services. If you do not check this option, our unit will not be able to view the results, and this will delay your checks from being completed. If you know your applicant has lived out of state within the last 5 years, be sure that you initiate those required checks. Some agencies will require submission of 2 background checks and 2 maltreatment checks for one applicant. These agencies are school districts and DDS providers. School districts must submit background checks and Arkansas child maltreatment to both the Arkansas Department of Education and the Arkansas Department of Human Services. You will submit under both EDU and CHI and NICAR. For the Division of Developmental Disabilities Community Program providers, those providers are also licensed child care facilities and must submit background checks under both CHI and the DDS statute and NICAR as well. If you believe that you need to complete 2 sets of regulatory checks for your applicant, or you need a statute added to your account, please contact our unit for further assistance. Let's talk more about out-of-state requirements. If a potential employee has lived out of Arkansas in the last 5 years, they must complete checks from all of the states they have lived in during that period. For example, if you are submitting an applicant and they have lived in Arkansas or they lived in Texas last year and Montana the year before, you will need to complete the required checks for both of those states. You will need 3 components for the out-of-state checks: a criminal background check, a child maltreatment check, and a sex offender registry check. You can find information for each state by following the link here to the Interstate Child Care Background Check contact list. Notice the states listed in red. These states only require maltreatment and sex offender registry check to be completed. No background check is required. No criminal background check is required. Some states, Missouri, for example, will complete the maltreatment and sex offender registry checks together. Each state is different, but this contact list will give you a great start on what states need all 3 components and which states do not require the criminal. There are some special conditions when it comes to out-of-state results. For Tennessee, the regulatory check unit will complete. For Oklahoma, the regulatory unit will complete that as well. For California, no records are required. It's a closed record state. For Arizona, they will release only the child abuse and neglect results. They will not release criminal results. The background check unit has created a list of instructions and contact information for each state. You can use the link above to go to our website. When you select the state from the drop-down menu, you will find information needed to complete your request. No results are needed for applicants that have resided out of the country in the last 5 years. However, they still need to list those addresses on their Arkansas child maltreatment request. If the state requires information be sent directly to our agency, please use the information provided. The results will then come straight to our email. If you or the applicant receives the results, please forward them to that background check email address. And our address is listed as well if it needs to be sent by mail. Again, please visit our website where you will find out-of-state resources. If you have questions regarding the out-of-state process, please email us or contact our unit at 682-8590. What do the status changes mean? For pending, the regulatory check unit is in process. The state criminal record may be incomplete. We will send a letter to the applicant requesting more information. For provisional, the state criminal has been completed. The applicant needs to complete the fingerprint process if applicable, or the Arkansas child maltreatment request. This applicant may also be waiting out-of-state results, or we are awaiting documentation requested from the applicant. For approves, all components of the background check are complete. For not approved, the applicant is not eligible to work. This can be because the documentation was incorrect or because the applicant has a disqualifying offense. When in doubt, just give us a call and we will help. A few of our final reminders. Please be sure all information submitted to NICAR is correct. Your applicant will not be fingerprinted if the information does not match their ID or passport. Staff may not begin work until they are in a provisional status and all out-of-state checks have been initiated. If you choose to hire them in a provisional status, they must be supervised at all times by a staff member with satisfactory background check results. If you have an employee that is no longer working for your facility, be sure to contact us and let us know. That way we can clean our system up with that. When emailing the background check unit, please include the applicant's search ID number. Please do not include their birthday, social, or first or last name when emailing us. Here are some important phone numbers. As always, please contact us if you have any questions. Here are some other numbers for you. NICAR should only be contacted for subscription, password, payment information. All other questions, including technical support, should be directed to the criminal background check unit. If you receive a notification that DHS will do more research or see that your applicant is in your pending tab after submitting, this means that the Arkansas State Police is doing manual research. This rarely happens, but it can be due to incorrect information or because the applicant has lived out of state recently. Typically, these will be out of your pending section within 24 to 72 hours. If you believe there is an incorrect delay, please contact our unit for more information. Some possible delays in the electronic background check process are incomplete or wrong consent forms, signatures missing, or dates are missing on the consent form. The notary date does not match the applicant's date on the second page of the consent form, and it could also mean that there are duplicate entries. All of these will cause unsatisfactory results. Once the applicant is in provisional, possible delays can be fingerprints have not been completed, fingerprints were rejected, the federal report requires additional information from the applicant, the Arkansas child maltreatment has not been submitted, or it has been submitted under the wrong reason. If your background check is returned with a non-satisfactory result within the 24 to 72 hours after being submitted, please check the attached documents section in NICAR to see if your consent form has errors. If you have submitted an error, please email us a correct consent form and we will upload this for you. You will not need to duplicate the entry. The only time you should resubmit an applicant is if the name or date of birth is incorrect in NICAR. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if there's any questions in the chat box. Does anybody have any questions for us today? No questions for us today? Oh, I see Kayla's on here. Hey, Kayla.
Hey, can you hear me?
Kayla
Okay?
is our DHS program manager.
Can you hear me okay?
I can't hear her talking, but she's trying to talk.
Can you hear me now?
Sydney, can you hear Kayla? Well, I
Can
can't.
Can you hear me now? No? Well, let me see here. Okay, can you hear me now? What about now?
Well, as long as they can hear you, Kayla, I can't hear you, but they can hear you.
Oh, everybody else can hear me okay? Yes? No. Cindy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for telling me that. I'm just over here. Okay, so I just wanted to take a second and introduce myself. So my name is Kayla Bodie. I'm the program manager here in the background check unit. Thank you so much to Brenda, our program coordinator, for taking over for me today. I had to be in some meetings last couple of days, so she has taken this little monthly project on here for me. So I did put the link for the next training, which is going to be in April. And then I also put my contact information in the chat box.
We can't hear you. Nothing.
Well, it looks like they can't hear you now.
No. I mean, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. So what I was saying is, yes, if you'll put your email in the chat box, we will make sure and get you a copy of this. And then I went ahead and put the recorded where you can find recorded meetings and link for April's meeting all there on our website. So I'll make sure and get everyone's email address in here. Does anyone have any specific questions? We've got a pretty small group here. So does anyone have any specific background check questions that maybe you're having issues with, or is there something that we can do to help today, since we've got some time left, and we can take some time to kind of look if you have an individual problem? No questions?
So the child maltreatment check is done every 2 years, and the other background check is done every 5 years. But when we first started, we had to do a child maltreatment training, Arkansas child maltreatment training. Do you have to redo that, or is it just you did it, you're done?
I think what you're talking about is the mandated reporter training, where they go through like, what is a mandated reporter and who has to report, how to report. So you do have to do that training, I believe, and maybe one of the licensing specialists can better answer this question. I believe that is part of your yearly trainings that you do. I'm not sure, I cannot remember if that specific training is one that you renew. I believe that it is. Licensing team, can any of you confirm how often they take mandated reporter training? Is it every year? I thought we had some people on here. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look right now, Tanya, because I believe that it is every year as part of your training that is required. Now, you do not have to take that training for, as far as background checks are concerned. The child maltreatment portion that you're doing every year, that is actually the result that you are getting every 2 years to make sure that no one is on the child abuse and neglect registry. So here, let's see. Got your topic. I'm looking for mandated reporter, and that's what it's called. Yes. So new staff every 3 years is what this says. You have to include mandated reporter training, and that's from your minimum licensing standards. it's gonna be underneath the professional development. So just go through there and read. If you don't have the most updated, you can get in our website. But go through and read your, under professional development, it's gonna tell you exactly what trainings that you need for Division of Child Care Standards. Because there are some other ones that go along with that. But yes, every 2 years you'll do your child maltreatment. And then other than that, any questions about child maltreatment? So we do review those results. So that's why we talk about maltreatment. But our team here in background check unit, we don't actually process those. So they come from central registry. And I know that can be confusing, but it's a separate unit that's actually processing those checks and we're just reviewing. And so sometimes what happens, especially if you're in a school district, is your school district administrators may be submitting your maltreatment to the Department of Education. And when you are submitted that way, we don't have access and you guys also don't receive a copy of the letter. And then when your licensing specialist comes in, they're looking for that letter and then you're in provisional status because we can't view that. So that's why in a school district, you actually have to go ahead and submit everything multiple times. So I'm going to check the chat box. Oh, look. Ms. Harper put everything in the chat box that we were talking about earlier. So within 3 months of hire and then every 3 years. So thank you. And Cindy said she has got everybody's email. So if you did not put your email already, make sure that you do that. If you want a copy. Is there any other like specific questions that anyone can think of that you would like us to go ahead and address, or anything that's not related that we could possibly address? I know that out of state checks can be, that's usually like a big topic and it's a little confusing. And so if anyone needs assistance with that, we can help. Brenda came in here so she could hear, but Brenda actually processes a lot of those out of states for us. And so she's kind of becoming our person that really knows a lot about out of state. And so we both take a lot of time to research that. We try to keep our website updated. But if you find anything that's changed with another state, you can always let us know. That way we can make sure we're changing our information. Make sure that nobody else has got any questions. Brenda, do you have anything to add?
I don't, I apologize.
Brenda's audio went out. We don't know what happened. We were having
You
issues.
were them, so I came in here.
Yes, so if there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and give you time back. And again, we will have another meeting in April. Our previous recordings are there on our website. So you can go back and rewatch because we used to do this monthly. And you can rewatch those, and then we will get this guide sent out, and I'll make sure all the licensing team has it. So if there is anybody else, if you have colleagues or anyone that needs it, or for any reason you don't get it, reach out to your licensing specialist, and they can send you this copy as well. Has clickable links, so it's really easy to use. And again, if you have colleagues that need help, you know someone that maybe needs some training or needs assistance, or even if you wanted to schedule one-on-one training with our team, then we can do that as well. So we're very flexible on training opportunities. All right, have a good afternoon, and thank you everyone for coming, and thank you, Brenda. Brenda came in here, so she come here and tell everybody bye, Brenda.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
All right, thank you for being here. We appreciate you taking time, and thank you for all that you do for children in the state of Arkansas. So keep up the great work. Bye.
Oh, I'm gonna stop recording this meeting. How are you doing?
Stop recording. Are you sure you want to stop recording?